Hello, today is Wednesday, May 6th. Great news. Still no cases in the company that we know of. No staff, and none of our clients or residents. That's the good news. The bad news is the virus continues to spread in the general public, and worse yet, the death numbers are disproportionately higher among the seniors, and especially those living in long-term care settings like our carefree living facilities. I try to listen to the daily briefing our governor and his key staff give on the virus as often as I can. The Commissioner of Health is part of that briefing session, and she starts out her part of the program by giving the statistics of the number of cases and death by three metrics. The first being cases and deaths worldwide, the second being cases and deaths in the U.S. as a whole, and lastly, Minnesota. Now, there's some even worse news there, that in the last week, almost 75% of the deaths in Minnesota have been the elderly and elderly in long-term care settings. They're people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, and then generally there's someone in their 60s or 50s, but it's a case where there's comorbidities involved in that. Now, they're saying they're COVID related. Now, it could be COPD, it could be leukemia, it could be something else there, but they're listing it as that. This scares the dickens out of me, and I think it should scare all of you in the sense that we need to be very careful. And what I'd like to do is share a personal story with you to help make that point. 14 months ago, my mother Betty, who was 96 at the time, was living at our Burnsville Carefree Living. She was having difficulty with walking, and she would occasionally fall, and never really had anything that was serious. However, on Valentine's Day 14 months ago, she fell, and staff found her on the bathroom floor. That fall resulted in her breaking her right hip and her right shoulder. We had to make a decision on what to do and chose to have emergency surgery where they put pins in her hips, and she wore a sling so that her shoulder could heal slowly. She was in a lot of pain with that. After a few days in the hospital, we transferred her to Southview Acres, a 220-bed nursing home in West St. Paul, close to my office and close to my house. She went from the hospital into the transitional care unit. From there, she went to a regular nursing home bed and was not doing very well. Frankly, I didn't think she would live through the summer. Her weight before she fell at Burnsville was 100 pounds. After the second fall, she lost 28% of her body weight and weighed 72 pounds. We put her on hospice, we discontinued some of her meds, and remarkably, since then, she's gotten better. On February 3rd, she had her 97th birthday, and I visited her, brought a small cake, and we had a good time visiting. She ate almost a quarter of that small cake, which pleased me greatly to see her appetite with that. That was pretty close to the last time that I saw her face-to-face in the nursing home. Shortly after that, Southview initiated a no visitors policy, similar to what we did in our company as well. However, they set a system up where I could visit with her twice a week on FaceTime, which I've done. And for the most part, she's pretty good. Now, if I haven't shaved, she'll make comment on, did I lose my razor or something like that, and ask me how old I am. I tell her, and I said, how old are you, Mom? And she said, well, I'm not sure. I said, you're 97. She said, my God, that's old. So she's got her sense of humor. Last Thursday, I talked to her at 3 p.m. on FaceTime. 8 hours later, I got a call shortly before midnight from the facility. And frankly, I don't remember much of that because I was pretty groggy. I was sound asleep when they called, but they had their first COVID-19 case with a resident. They had gone COVID-free up until last Thursday. I had another FaceTime call with her yesterday, and during that call, I've talked to the reason, Mom, I can't see you is there's flu going around and this sort of thing. I haven't gotten into the issues of this virus and the implications and all that because, frankly, I don't want to confuse her, and I'm not sure how much she truly would understand. But anyway, I asked a staff member how things are going there with that resident and any other problems. She said they've had another 5 cases, so basically 1 a day. Then she assured me my mom was safe, that they've quarantined those people on a separate floor, but 1 a day, the infection that's going on, it could become a disaster. Let's pray that that doesn't happen. Now, the problem with that virus is it did not originate in the facility. It was brought into the facility, and it had to be brought in there by somebody working there. With their no visitors policy, even chaplains, for example, I've had calls from them, hospice social workers are not allowed into the building. So a staff member, knowingly or unknowingly, must have brought that virus in and infected that person. We're far from out of the woods with this virus yet, locally, US-wide, worldwide. Hopefully we can stem that, but one of the lessons we learned from the Spanish flu 102 years ago is that after the first wave of casualties, about this time of the year, later in the fall, they had a second wave that was even worse. So we have to be very, very diligent. And some people have said we're lucky that we haven't had the virus yet. No, we're not lucky. We're diligent. And the safe practices that you and your colleagues and all of us are doing is the reason we don't have a case yet that we know of. We're constantly making sure we have the PPE, personal protective equipment, you need. Here's a shot of another 150 gallons that Ryan picked up Saturday morning. We're committed to making sure that, we don't have infections by you or staff not having the right kinds of equipment we need. Marilyn Hansen, along with her team, has been planning for worst case scenarios, answering the what if questions. What if something happens here as it relates to this? What are we going to do about that? What if something happens over there? What are we going to do here? She's been working tirelessly in getting plans done, and the people around her are rallying around that we're on top of this thing. I've heard from others in the industry outside that they think our company has done an exceptional job and ahead of many others in the industry and doing what we need to do. Again, I ask of you for the foreseeable future, and I don't know what that means, none of us do, but to continue to practice all the appropriate safety measures. And it's even more important away from home than at home, because your chance of getting infected in the grocery store or somewhere else is greater than that happening at work. So remember those points are the social distancing. They're saying at least 6 feet away when you're meeting with someone you haven't had contact before. Avoid groups of people. Practice hand washing all the time. Use antiseptic, and when you're out in a group setting and at work, obviously, wear your mask. That's the only way we're going to keep up this excellent record we've had. And I hope I can be here in another month in June and say, guess what? We're still COVID free. That's one of my biggest dreams. So stay safe, and God bless you and your family. I appreciate all you do. Thank you.